Hey guys, well, a little bit of a different video today. I'm down here on the banks of Wolf Creek, and it's really high. Corner of my property's, I don't know, 50 feet over there, and my house is up there, up on the hill. But we got a lot of runoff happening coming off from Summit Springs and up in them mountains, and so the river came up like overnight. But I want to talk a little bit about muskrats today, and there's some things going on in the state, some conversation going on between trappers and the FWP, and there's a lot of opinions and stuff like that. I had a little fire, guys, and I lost a little bit of my beard. But anyways, on what to do. But I want to talk a little bit first about this spot right here on Wolf Creek. This spot right here on Wolf Creek, and most of Wolf Creek is what I consider poor muskrat habitat. There's not much for feed. There's some grasses and roots and stuff, and I do have some muskrats. Don't get me wrong, but not enough really for me to go ahead and trap or nothing like that. So I don't trap muskrats in this creek here. Now if this was lined with cattails right through here and back into that slough back there, stayed full of water, and that was all cattails and whatnot, and cattails on the other side, that'd be a different story. This would make really good muskrat habitat. We do have the right banks for it, and that's what these muskrats do. They bank den. So anyways, let's get into what this video is about. What I want to talk about to start is our role as trappers, as how we manage our muskrat populations, and what is the proper way, in my opinion, on how to do it, and why it's so important. Us as YouTubers, we put out a lot of stuff on how to catch muskrats, how to catch coyotes, how to put up fur, and different stuff like that. On the state level, I just heard today, very little time is spent on managing and when to pull your traps type of stuff. And that's what I'm going to get at. So when I was young, Rusty Kaufman up in Tomahawk, Wisconsin, and I'm talking, this is years ago. He told me, he said, don't over trap this year so you can go ahead and trap next year. And that stuck with me. He always drilled in my head that he goes, you don't trap longer than 3 nights for muskrats. Your first night, you'll get about a 75% catch ratio. Your second night's going to be down around the 50%, and then it's going to drop way down really quick to about 30%. Now, this is on areas of ponds, marshes, and stuff like that. And I'm not talking like river systems like this or nothing like that. I'm talking bodies of water that way. And now I look at it differently. 2 nights max. There's no sense of going ahead and going that extra night and catching those extra, let's say on 100 traps, extra 20 muskrats, and then most of them are going to be kits anyways. Now let's just talk a little bit about how to trap at different times of the year. There's different ways to go ahead and harvest muskrats. In your fall season, I've always trapped the feed beds and stuff like that. If I'd find a run, I'd throw a conibear in a run or a colony trap or something like that. I trap now. If I do get an opportunity to trap fall rats, I trap for usually 1 or maybe 2 nights. It all depends on what the weather was doing. If I had really poor weather and a low rat catch first night, then I will trap my second night. And then I'm out of there. I hardly, up at this elevation, get the opportunity to go ahead and trap fall muskrats. The reason being is because of ice. This creek right here, the week before trapping season, this creek right here was frozen to the point where you could walk across it. So water trapping along this creek was done, and it didn't even open yet. November 1st, there was no water trapping. All right. So, anyways, then you come into the wintertime after you can really walk on the ice up here. Then you start trapping push-ups and possibly some huts. So, and then You work in the spring, we get about maybe 4 days of open water in the spring. So at the most, I've seen was 5 days of open water trapping here at my elevation. So anywhere from about 3,500 feet. I'm at 3,000 feet here, and up. You're going to get maybe 4 or 5 days of open water trapping at the most, and that's 8 years of me being here. I probably had, I would say, maybe 12 days total of open water trapping for muskrats. So. Then yeah, of course, in the springtime, then you're trapping toilets and stuff like that, and you can use some floats. I have very little luck with floats, but so the conversation that is coming up between trappers and the FWP is that they think there's low muskrat numbers in the state of Montana. In my areas where I manage my muskrats, and I'm the only one managing my muskrats, and the way I do it, I don't have low numbers in muskrats. I take the correct amount of muskrats. I don't overtrap. I don't trap past 2 days, and then I'm out of there. What I've been seeing, and I've seen it in the past 3 years, in some areas, there's a lake in the valley where a trapper goes in and he traps in the fall. And then there's 2 or 3 other trappers that came behind him in the wintertime and they ice trapped it. And then that trapper comes back in the next fall and then complaining of low muskrat numbers. That happened 3 years ago on a lake, and I know for sure that happened because I know one of the trappers. So anyways, honestly, I don't think our muskrat numbers are low in the state of Montana. I just got a feeling guys don't know how to manage their muskrats, and I hate to say that, but I see a lot of guys coming back behind other guys after that trapper has left. Where I grew up in Wisconsin and how I trapped in Wisconsin, what I was taught was if, let's say, Rusty Coffin, he was my mentor. Let's say if he was trapping, I'll just throw a name out there, the spirit flowage. We knew not to go ahead and trap the spirit flowage because Rusty was going to trap that, even if he wasn't in there on opening day. I knew that, I think Joe Jelnick, hey Joe, if you're watching this, I think he trapped a section of the Tomahawk River below me, and I trapped a section above it. I knew not to go ahead and trap that section Joe trapped, because that would be over harvesting his muskrats, and those are we considered it his rats, So anyways, that's just kind of how I grew up. I see it where guys are coming in behind other guys and trapping again. And it happens here with beaver also, where a guy will go ahead and trap beaver in the fall, and then another guy comes in and traps some beaver in the winter, pulls a few beaver out. And then a different trapper comes in, a spring trapper comes in, he's like, oh, hey, check out the castor mounds. And he starts hitting castor mounds. Before you know it, the beaver population has been depleted. So it amazes me that, not this day and age that we have all these ways to communicate and nobody communicates. So what the came up with some trappers at the past fur bear meetings, and I really wish I would have been there. And I made it to every one since I've lived here, except for this one here this year. But was that a few trappers were wanting to go ahead and get rid of push-up trapping and trapping, opening huts and then setting traps on the inside of huts. That takes away a lot of opportunity for trappers, that aren't living down in the valley where we get iced in almost immediately trapping. And that's really the only really opportunities for us to trap is that way. And how I trap when I ice trap, it actually has turned into my favorite way to go ahead and manage my muskrat ponds. How I trap them is I might only hit half of the pond, as far as the push-ups go and the huts, and then I leave the other half alone. 2 to 3 rats are using those push-ups, and I only trap one night. Sometimes I'll trap do a check during the day. I'll set in the morning, and then I'll check, let's say at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I'll leave my traps overnight, and then I'll pull them. And that's the only rats I'm taking out of there. I passed up a lot of huts, and I probably, I would say that one pond, I probably only trap maybe 20% of my sets are going to be huts, and that's it. Some of the trappers were saying that it damages the huts and all that, but if good education, guys are doing it right, you got no problems with that. Anyways, I hate to see trappers lose any kind of privileges, and it's hard for me to watch other trappers take privileges away from other trappers. You know, what's next after that? Would it be taking away the colony trap, or in front of a den entrance, or taking even a 110, taking that away from them, putting that in front of a den entrance? It's no different than trapping the inside of a hut, in my opinion. But I think what needs to be done is a little bit more education as far as not over trapping an area, a muskrat marsh or a lake or whatnot. So here's another situation where this is going to hurt a few trappers up in my area. There's a lake that the only way it can be trapped is through the ice, and here's why. The land around the lake is private, which means the land under the lake is private. I've been around and around with my game warden about this, and I can't put a stake in the ground to hold a muskrat trap. The only way I can go ahead and muskrat trap that lake is to trap a push-up. And so that has just ruined my opportunity to go ahead and trap. So with that being said, I talked a lot with Nathan Klug today. And I told him I was going to go ahead and put this video out there. And they're really wanting to hear some feedback from other trappers around the state. This would be, they're looking to do something. Honestly, I really don't think muskrat numbers are down. If you look at Bill Garcia, he traps a river system completely different than what you would see in a marsh area or a lake, because he's got constant flow of muskrats coming in. He caught 406 muskrats on 25 traps in just a few weeks. He was checking twice a day, and there's more. I talked to him today. There's more rats there. So anyways, I really don't think there's a muskrat shortage. Honestly, I don't. I believe there's too many trappers overlapping with other trappers, and trappers are staying too long in an area. They need to go ahead and catch their muskrats, 2-day checks, and then get out of there, especially on lakes and ponds and stuff like that. And then, of course, the next year, you're not going to have many muskrats. I mean, it's just it's the way I was taught. So Nathan Klug, he's the fur bearer specialist, biologist. He's out of Helena. He's looking for input from trappers around the state on what to do. I'll tell you, they're looking to go ahead and stop trapping huts, and they're looking to stop trapping push-ups, and that's just because it's coming from a handful of trappers. So if you're a hut trapper and you're a push-up trapper, especially a push-up trapper, I could see maybe stop trapping on the huts, or whatever. That's fine. But leave our push-ups alone. I mean, this is how we get to trap in these more colder climates, and where we make a lot of ice. It's taken opportunity away from us. I'd never want to see anything taken away from any trapper or nothing like that, and I would never advocate anything for restrictions for trappers. I believe trappers need to go ahead and restrict themselves is what it needs to be. So anyways, Nathan, be nice to him. He's a great guy. He's knowledgeable. He's a trapper himself. And just give him a holler. You can find him, FWP. He's all over the place. Nathan Klug, very accessible. He's on Facebook. He opens his door and answers his phone. So go ahead and give him a call and tell him what you think, whether you like it or not. Everybody's opinion matters. And if I lose friends or get people mad at me because of my opinion, so be it. The last thing I want it done is cause division with trappers, and there's too much of that right now. We need some good leadership among trappers to go ahead and bring people together. It's really, really important that we stand together on stuff. So, yeah, but that's all I got to say about that. I think that we need more education within the system on how to be conservationist, not preservationist, but how to be conservationist, and how trappers' roles are in that with especially muskrats and beaver. Those are the two big ones right now. Not to over trap. You want to keep that seed for next year. So anyways, if I hurt your feelings, just get over it. If you agree with me, great, thanks. Give Nathan a call. His phone number's there. Email him. I'm against closing down trapping the push-ups. I'm hanging in the balance as far as trapping, opening the sides of the huts. I do think there needs to be more education on that. I know there's a lot of new trappers out there, and it's more to it, guys, than just going out and setting traps. You got to know when to pull them. It's that old Kenny Rogers song. You got to know when to pull them. So it's really, really important. And staying out in the muskrat marsh longer than 2 days, to me, is detrimental to the population. So, yeah. Anyways, you guys have a great day. We'll talk to you later. Hopefully I didn't make too many enemies. Laters.